The more we are able to be ourselves, the more we increase our chances of being successful in life. This can also be measured objectively. Self-actualization, or self-fulfillment, is assessed by means of a set of indicators put together by the American psychologist Abraham Maslow, which measures an individual's ability to remain himself in all circumstances. This researcher and practitioner observed that people who are exceptionally bright, both personally and professionally, have one thing in common: they are better able to remain themselves, regardless of the situation in which they find themselves. Self-realization pushes us to become the maximum of what we are capable of becoming, to touch our limits and go beyond them. For Maslow, a person is always in becoming and never static, fulfilled, happy. For him, there is always evolution, dynamism. A person who reaches level 5, self-realization, will seek meaning in their life. Each person is unique, so it is important to understand that one person will pursue art, another will seek to develop an institute, and yet another seeks to excel in sports. And these are just 3 examples that can be completed. The characteristics of self-realization. 1. The need to be alone to recharge your batteries. Being in a public place can be stressful. The wall between oneself and others is gradually disappearing, and we are not yet used to feeling the state of others so closely. If the general atmosphere of the place is negative and tense, we will feel it in ourselves, and we will quickly need to withdraw to recharge the batteries. Meditation, spending time in nature, or just sitting in quiet contemplation will allow us to recharge, and we will be ready to find ourselves again in the middle of the crowd. Finding yourself with yourself is a normal aspiration of every adult person. It can only be lived by taking a step back, by no longer having one's nose in the handlebars. Moments of solitude also bring well-being, silence, and allow for moments of intimacy. 2. A broader outlook on life. One can see the big picture and appreciate the balance of the world. We also see how the lack of awareness of some can create confusion and suffering. We no longer consider a choice to be good or bad. We know that it will bring its balance of pleasant and unpleasant experiences. 3. More trust in your intuition. Intuition is an inner compass. Learn to listen to your intuition to make better decisions. Our certainties often stick to our skin and generally define our lives in very restrictive ways. To fight and be the best to succeed. To be at all costs in a couple to be happy. To have one great love. To travel to make dreams come true. Others having a managerial position to make their parents proud, etc. And yet, it is love, the fuel of everything we create and transmit in life. And it is love that transforms and transcends our certainties. We all have an unsuspected power within us. The power to listen to ourselves. Intuition. If we live in a society that does not attach much importance to it, it is nevertheless the intuition that will make your life more beautiful. Intuition is what the body has understood and what the brain has not yet had time to analyze. It is not an emotion, but a signal that passes through your body with essential information. It can be a voice, a feeling, a flash, a smell, etc. Being connected with your 5 senses will allow you to deploy your 6th sense. We glimpse the dynamics of life without necessarily understanding them intellectually. This is often called intuitive awareness and allows us to understand the workings of life on a deeper level. The more we trust our intuition, the stronger it becomes. You decide just as much with your heart as with your head. 4. We accept our imperfection. We are aware of our imperfection, and we become much more benevolent towards ourselves. We want to evolve and progress, but not because we compare ourselves to others or out of a competitive spirit. We like to improve. but not at the expense of others. Accepting to be imperfect is based on an essential idea: learning to appreciate our life rather than constantly challenging it. According to a study conducted by psychologists Robert Emmons and Michael McCullough, people who report the 5 things, big or small, for which they feel grateful on a daily basis, people who therefore have a developed sense of gratitude, declare to feel better than those who don't. 5. We no longer resonate with the mass media. Television news and the media in general no longer resonate with our sensibilities. Everything seems excessive, superficial, and lacking in meaning. The ideology of the mass media spreads in public opinion, since they prioritize the information that reaches that one by determining its relevance. By making a subjective selection of facts and establishing what is right and what is wrong, the media decide which events are important or not, and therefore make a discriminating judgment on reality. They thus produce an informational framework determining which are the major problems of our society and which subjects must be treated. The objects of the public debate are therefore posed. Journalists and the ideas debated by citizens rarely go beyond this framework. When the mass media circulate information, they don't just represent a fact of the world. They operate a cut in reality that shows us this fact. This cut is agential in the sense that it acts where it is not only representative but constitutive of reality. The mass media, by representing reality, shape the world through agential cuts. To sum up, the media make us aware of the world in a certain way. They do not reflect reality, they make it. 6. We no longer get attached to objects. We no longer need this or that to feel good. We are not jealous or envious when another person has more than we have. We prefer to lighten up and we avoid the accumulation of objects. It is not enough to take an object and throw or give it away. It would be too simple, and if it were so simple, we would all be minimalists and we would live in the best of all possible worlds. No, seriously, that's probably the hardest part of this minimalism thing. Realize that objects and possessions do not bring happiness. I think it can happen naturally. If we are not ready, the link will not be made. This awareness is only the first step. We have to keep moving forward after that. And even if sorting, decluttering, is part of the process, this is not what will make your approach successful. You have probably tried many times to declutter your home and thoughts before, but it takes a little more than goodwill to move forward in this dynamic that is minimalism. 7. We guess when someone is lying to us or hiding something. We develop a greater sensitivity to the inconsistencies of the person in front of us. We will guess his discomfort. We will feel if this person is trying to impress us or manipulate us, or if they are simply trying to protect themselves. We know each other well enough to recognize the same functions in each other. By knowing yourself, you know others better. 8. We become more sensitive to the suffering of the weakest. We open up enough to others to recognize their suffering. Instead of being put aside, it touches us, especially when we realize the vulnerability of the other. We realize that we can, at our own level, contribute to reducing the suffering of others. Being sensitive is often perceived as a defect, even as a weakness. These people are also criticized for thinking too much, taking things too much to heart, or even getting attached too quickly. Remarks that can give them the impression that something is wrong with them and make them lose confidence in themselves. Highly sensitive people, PHS, that is, people who feel things and emotions very intensely, therefore tend to hide their feelings and be ashamed of them. Being very sensitive would actually be a strength. 9. We don't preach the good word all the time. We do not feel the need to awaken everyone we meet. After a few sentences, we can establish the level of comfort that our interlocutor has with the theme of self-realization. We share a few words, and if they have to make their way into that person's heart, it will happen naturally. 10. We set healthy boundaries between ourselves and others. We learn to protect ourselves from energy vampires, who, through their excessive lamentations, rob the other of their vitality. We know how, without rushing her, to establish a healthy limit with this type of person. By doing this, we respect our own sensitivity, and we avoid encouraging them to continue on a path of victimization that is not healthy for their personal development. 11. We are interested in the body and health. We develop a greater respect for our body. We try to eat healthy, and we are interested in natural methods that improve vitality, such as yoga, massages, Qigong, etc. Generic drug treatments are avoided when possible. 12. We love creativity. We are interested in singing, dancing, painting, writing, everything that can allow us to express our creativity. We have imagination and the desire to share with others. 13. We realize the strength of beliefs. We understand that we can only attract to ourselves what we can conceive. We become aware of our limiting beliefs. I'm not up to it. I couldn't do it. And we tame them, one after the other. 14. We are easily taken care of. If certain situations bore us, we generally know how to deal well, and we enjoy it. We like to read, learn, create, and work on our projects. 15. We live with less and less fear and worry. Although we are aware of the difficulties that can arise in life, we live without fear. We have confidence in our resources, and we have faith in the goodness of life. You develop a sense of appreciation on a daily basis and realize the incredible experience of being a human being. Did you recognize yourself in one or more points? Of course, this list is not in depth, but it gives an overview of what more and more people are going through. According to some sages, the number of people awakening to a more conscious life is growing, and the rate of growth is phenomenal. This may indicate that all of humanity is evolving.